The Bellator Fighting Championships has moved on to the Lone Star State. The tournament semifinals in the featherweight division headline the fight card tonight. Quarterfinal winners Esteban Payan, Jair Reyes, Wilson Hayes, and Joe Soto all stand one win away from a spot in the featherweight final and a chance to fight for Bellator fame and fortune. Our first semifinal, Esteban Payan, coming off a narrow split decision win over Luis Palomino, has advanced. He'll now face Jair Reyes. He submitted the favorite Nick Gonzalez in the opening round with a rear naked choke. Meantime, our second semifinal, someone's O must go, a great clash of styles. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ace Wilson Hayes putting his unbeaten record on the line against the hard-hitting Californian Joe Soto. It is the Bellator Fighting Championship 6 right now. We welcome you inside the Central Pavilion Arena in Robstown, Texas, as we continue with Season 1 of the Bellator Fighting Championships Single Elimination Tournament. Our featherweight tourney began with 8 mixed martial artists, all of whom were looking to become the first ever Bellator 145-pound champion. The quarterfinal round saw its share of upsets as the field was trimmed down to the final 4, but the pre-tournament favorite Wilson Hayes remains alive and in search of his second major world title. So glad to have you with us here in Texas. John Anik alongside Jason Chambers. 2 tremendous semifinals on the slate tonight, not the least of which is the Battle of Unbeatens between Wilson Hayes and Joe Soto.
This is a fight I'm really looking forward to. Like you said, both guys don't know what it's like to lose in the ring, but one of them is going to have to today. Wilson Hayes comes in already a champion, has gone 5 rounds, knows what it takes to be a champion. Joe Soto never had to make it out of the first round, so we're going to see if that's a trend he can keep up tonight or if this is going to be a battle of the rounds.
All right, well, the other semifinal, obviously a huge opportunity for both Esteban Payan and Jair Reyes.
Yeah, Jair Reyes is a guy who started kickboxing, but most of his wins have actually come by submission. Payan himself trains with Arizona Combat Sports, a fantastic gym, trains with guys like Jamie Varner, current WEC champ, and a bunch of fantastic fighters have come out of there. So both of these guys are going to have a tough fight ahead of them if they want to make it to the finals.
Well, Jay, I'm glad we're not in the prediction business. Both of these semifinals truly could go either way. We'll get to the tournament action shortly, but we begin tonight with a special feature attraction. So, world-class mixed martial arts here at the Central Pavilion Arena in Robstown, Texas. 3 rounds in the featherweight division. Roberto Vargas taking on Daniel Pineda. And as for Roberto, he craves competition.
I just love to compete. I love being able to train and have something to train for. It's very hard for me to just train and not have a goal in mind and not have something for me to work for. I think just having that intensity in my life is a necessity right now for me, and I just love being able to have something to work for and having goals set up for myself.
So it's been a case of so far so good for Roberto Vargas in his short mixed martial arts career. 5-0, fighting out of San Bernardino, California. Battle-based gym in Bakersfield, Connecticut, and a pretty good start to his mixed martial arts career, Jay.
Yeah, so far 5-0. You can't get much better of a start than that. We talked to Roberto Vargas, and he said that I'm getting in much better shape, cutting down, slimming up. I feel great. I feel like I'm ready to take it to the next level. So we're going to see tonight if that's the case.
Has done a lot of boxing of late, says the biggest challenge for him is the footwork and sort of changing his footwork from wrestling to boxing. Really likes to break his opponent down and wear him out, and has done that obviously in his first 5 mixed martial arts fights. Has fought for King of the Cage, also Show XC, a couple victories under that banner against Ralph Lopez and Telly Sanders. Actually, his mixed martial arts debut came for Show XC against Telly Sanders, and was able to get the win by shoulder lock in his MMA debut about 13 months ago. Pretty nice submission to begin an MMA career.
Yeah, the best way to begin an MMA career is either submission or knockout. Nobody wants to go to the decisions.
All right, so Daniel Pineda, his opponent, and for Daniel, now it is finally all about MMA.
Man, right now I actually just quit my job, so now I'm training 3 times a day, So to get ready for this fight, actually, because it's very important for me. To get here, hey, everybody wants to be in ESPN Deportes, right?
And Jay, it's got to be the best moment in a mixed martial arts career, other than winning a championship, when you can put down the construction tools and focus on mixed martial arts full time. It has to improve your performance.
Well, with opportunities that are being presented now with organizations like Bellator, where the financial gain is there. A lot of times these guys are fighting for $200, $300, $400, $500, and it's really difficult to commit 5-6 days a week to fight at that pro level when you've got bills to pay. I mean, let's just be honest. And now you've got these tournament structures, $175,000 on the line. A lot of these fighters are seeing that opportunity and saying, I'm going to gamble a little bit here. I'm going to put down the tools and start picking up some tools of the trade to get in the ring.
So if you're looking for a plumber in Houston, Texas, don't bother calling Daniel Pineda. No longer in the yellow pages. He's focusing on fighting at the 4 Rounds Fight Club in Houston, Texas. His trainer, Bob Perez, likes the body slams, likes the ground and pound. Also, too, against Roberto Vargas, thinks the wrestling skills will sort of balance out and lead to a stand-up war, and I think the fans here in Robstown, Texas wouldn't mind if that's how things played out.
Yeah, everybody wants to see a stand-up war, but the more you know about the ground, the more you want to, more you can appreciate what's happening. And both of these guys come off of the majority of their wins being by submission, so this could go anywhere.
All right, we're ready for the action. Vargas and Pineda, we send it inside for the announcement.
Damas y caballeros, este combate está pactado a 3 asaltos en la división peso pluma. Ladies and gentlemen, this bout scheduled for 3 rounds of MMA in the featherweight division. Los jueces son, the judges are Jason Garcia, Lee Rogers y Lucy Rogers. El referee, Mark Calloy. En la esquina azul, in the blue corner, vestido de gris con negro y blanco. He steps in wearing gray trimmed in black and white. Su peso oficial, 146 libras. His official weight, 146 pounds. Practica los artes marciales de lucha libre y jiu-jitsu brasileño. Y a nivel profesional, mantiene un récord invicto con 5 victorias. He is a wrestler and jiu-jitsu practitioner with an undefeated MMA record of 5 victories. Representing the Battle Base, San Bernardino, California, Roberto Vargas. Y en la esquina roja, in the red corner, vestido de pantaloncillos blancos con vivos rojos y negros. He steps into the ring wearing the white trunks trimmed in black and red. Detuvo la báscula, un peso oficial de 145 libras. He tipped the scales at an official 145 pounds. Un experto en la disciplina de jiu-jitsu brasileño con un récord profesional de 8 victorias y 2 derrotas. He is an expert in the discipline of Brazilian jiu-jitsu with an MMA record of 8 victories against 2 defeats. Representing 4 Ounce Fight Club, Houston, Texas, Daniel "The Pit" Pineda.
All right, athletes, we've already gone over the rules in the dressing room. Protect yourselves at all times. Listen to my commands at all times. Let's touch them up. Let's get to work.
Gotta like the call there from Mark Calloy. All right, athletes, talking about some of the best athletes on the planet here in the Bellator circle. Roberto Vargas taking on Daniel Pineda. And, you know, we always, when we interview these fighters, we always think, what fight might be the fight of the night? And I hope that my prediction here proves accurate, but I'm sort of liking these guys a potential fight of the night candidate here in the featherweight division.
Well, we're about to find out here.
Of course, I say I'm not in the prediction business. Then what do I do? Go predicting a fight of the night?
You're crazy. That's what happens. You're just crazy. Oh, Pineda takes a good single leg there. Oh, beautiful takedown. Let's see if he can get him off the cage here and get in that double leg. He's pretty deep. Did a good job of turning the corner there. Oh, you know, this is reminding me of the Toby Imada.
I was just going to say.
180,000 YouTube hits in 3 days. Everybody wants a little piece of that action.
In case you missed it, last week some Bellator history. Jorge Masvidal against Toby Imada. Toby Imada locking in the inverse triangle choke and really setting the MMA world on its axis. Over 180,000 views on YouTube. A seminal moment early on here for the Bellator Fighting Championship.
You know, we might be able to see another one of those triangles if Vargas is able to thread his leg around the head of Pineda there. Pineda's doing a good job of keeping his head in on that double leg. Needs to put Vargas on the canvas there.
Now, Jay, they say in mixed martial arts you should always be looking one or two.
Oh, big backward slam. Good scramble by both guys. And a nice knee standing up there by Vargas, excuse me.
I was going to say in MMA you're always taught to, I guess, to be looking one or two moves ahead, and it seems like Vargas is really trying to forecast what he's going to do next.
Yeah, especially once it hits the ground, you really got to think, you know, what's the second and third thing that's going to happen here, and we go back in on that punch combination into a single leg here. Both guys kind of vying for position here. You're going to see Pineda try to get on top there and flatten out Vargas on his back. He's going to work that left hand across his face if he can. Oh, Vargas now trying to sneak out the back. Good job by Vargas. Oh, he's in on a guillotine. I don't know how deep he's got that, though. It's kind of hard to tell from this angle. Oh, that looks pretty deep. I just don't know if he's got the leverage.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he has the arm around on the other side. Pineda may be out, Jay?
No, he looks like Pineda's almost out. Vargas had it in deep, but Pineda did a good job of flopping to his butt to take away some of that leverage. Vargas needs to either move into mount here or, oh, good job, Pineda's out.
Crowd getting into the action here. A furious pace through 2 minutes.
Yeah, fantastic pace. I mean, like I said, that's one of the things you see with these 145-pound guys. You see that fast pace, great cardio. Pineda now in on a Kimura lock on the left arm. He's going to try to yank that free and pull it up towards the opposite shoulder of the head of Vargas.
Well, Pineda thought this fight was going to be contested up, at least not the case so far. Vargas trying several submission attempts, now a little ground and pound mixed in.
Yeah, both guys just working at a great pace. You see Pineda there trying to get it out of the armbar. Vargas used that ability, or used that opening to pass guard. Both guys right in front of the commentating booth now.
Pineda really having to work hard here in the first stanza, no?
Yeah, both guys are just working really hard. This is a fantastic pace. It's really hard to appreciate how hard these athletes work, you know, being at home and watching this. And sometimes action does lull and, you know, people just kind of hang out in position. But as soon as you move, right like that, you get a whole new set of problems to deal with.
Right.
We got a front row seat to the action here.
Yeah, how about Jason Chambers trying to give Pineda a thumbs up there? I think he's got bigger fish to fry right now.
Just excited to see the action there.
Absolutely. So what's going on there?
Clearly it looks like some funky version of human twister.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Ooh, Vargas now working from the top, throwing some elbows. Both guys have done a great job of exchanging positioning, and a lot of good wrestling shown by both guys in ground control.
Vargas doing a nice job staying busy, too. Peppering the body, the head. Certainly a lot of activity here as we go under a minute in the first round.
This is a tough round to score. This is why I'm not a judge.
Good to not be a judge.
Pineda's doing a good job there. He's controlling that wrist so that it limits Vargas' ability to either come around the back or sink in chokes. But now both fighters back on their feet. We'll see what they can do with the last 30 seconds of the round here. Pineda kind of swinging a little bit wild on those punches. I guarantee that first round took a little gas out of one of the guys.
Yeah, and you see Pineda there on the right of your screen, really gassed here at the end of round one, just trying to survive these final 20 seconds.
It definitely looks like Vargas is a little more fresh on his feet.
Yes. A huge left hand for Vargas lands, and Pineda hits the canvas.
This round's going to be over in a second, though. Doesn't make too much of a difference. That's it.
So how about the opening 5 minutes between Roberto Vargas and Daniel Pineda? The crowd in Robstown, Texas, enjoying it. Round two is yours when we return to the Central Pavilion Arena.
This is an action-packed round here. You see Pineda was in deep on that double leg, trying to work to get Vargas to the ground. This takes a lot out of a fighter. He lifts him up, gets his body weight underneath him, and then dumps him backwards. But we go back to the action now and just misses with a head kick.
So, Jay, I know you're not a judge, but you do play one here on television. At the end of that round, there was a huge punch that landed for Vargas. Might that have stolen the round for him?
You know, a lot of times the judges do tend to look at the end of the round, and oh, now we're going to look at the front of the round as Vargas takes a huge slam as Pineda tries to throw a spinning back fist, misses. Vargas takes his back and makes him pay for it with a, I believe that was a suplex? Was that a suplex?
We'll go with it.
We'll go with suplex here. Apologize to the Randy Couture fans out there if that wasn't a suplex.
Again, though, in watching Roberto Vargas, just nauseatingly busy. Knees, elbows, head, body. very active throughout.
Well, you know, John, I think you called it right. This definitely has the makings of a fight of the night in it, man.
Well, we don't want to jinx it here as we're just a minute into the second round, but Daniel Pineda's got some work to do at this point. I know it was a close first round, but seems exhausted now and on his back, not in a great spot.
Yeah, there's one thing definitely that Pineda needs to do is start either working back to full guard or needs to get to his feet and stand up. Being on your back like that, when you have your opponent just riding his weight on you, not only does it make you think a lot about things like getting punched in the face, and you see the blood there from Pineda, but also you have to, you know, use his weight every time you want to move. You're using an extra 155, 160 pounds here.
Again, Roberto Vargas on top is undefeated, and at least midway through the fight here, you sort of can see why. I mean, the cardio's great, just very, very busy. I know I keep harping on it, but he's striking from every position and doing some appreciable damage.
Yeah, Vargas is doing a great job of staying busy in every position. He's not just holding him down, and it looks like it's beginning to frustrate Pineda a little bit here.
Yeah, and you see a lot of blood there. We'll try and figure out exactly where it's coming from. Maybe the nose.
I think it's coming from a cut.
Yeah, that's a good assessment.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Fairly certain on that.
Simplify.
Keep it simple.
So Roberto Vargas controlling the opening 2 minutes here of the second round. Now he gets, well, briefly had control of that right arm, but Pineda's able to escape.
Pineda's able to regain full guard now, and Vargas is keeping his hips kind of high and keeping pressure forward. They're doing a really good job of just keeping the pace going, working the body, working to the head.
And you notice Vargas, when he puts his hand on the face there, trying to upset the breathing pattern of Pineda, and doing a good job of it.
It definitely looks like Pineda at this point is a little bit more wary. He's in on an armbar there. It doesn't look like it's too deep. And it looks like Vargas's elbow is past the hip, so it's not too deep on that. If I'm Pineda at this point, I'm going to abandon the armbar and try to jump really quick on the back there while it's exposed to Vargas. You don't want to blow your load here on this armbar. That armbar is definitely not deep enough. You're going to see Pineda either push his foot on the hips of, Vargas push his foot on the hips and come out the backside, or he's going to try to step over. This is kind of a neutral position there, and like I thought so, Pineda came up on top, abandoning the submission to get position.
Not exactly sure what Vargas is doing there.
Oh, he's working in on the single leg there, Pineda, just making sure he can't get too much of a dominant control, and it's an old wrestling thing. Grabbing that single leg, he's going to try to stand up, disrupt the center of balance there on Pineda. And this is a lot like the position we saw Toby Amada and Jorge Masvidal in underneath there, and he stood up and caught that insane, crazy, upside-down, backwards triangle choke. And just like in that round, it looked like, the fight was kind of over in the last couple minutes there. We caught a submission, so you can't say who's going to win a fight based on the time.
Well, if you're either one of these guys, you certainly don't want it in the judges' hands. About a minute to go here in round two, and the round really there for the taking.
It looks like Pineda's working in on a Kimura there on the right arm of Vargas, and he's kind of got a triangle. He's going to see if he puts his left leg underneath the knee of his, his right foot underneath the knee of his left leg and start to lock up that triangle. Vargas needs to keep his pressure forward there so he can't create too much space and get a triangle locked up.
You see Mark Kalloy watching the action closely. Both guys fairly busy here. That's why he hasn't intervened.
Yeah, Vargas is going to try to come out what's called coming out the back door. It's meaning he's going to scoot his body weight backwards and try to slip Pineda off the shoulders and arm of him there. But Pineda's doing a good job there of locking up that shoulder. Dangerous position for Vargas been here. Really needs to think about how he wants to execute an exit strategy. 9 seconds left. Ironically, we saw the first round end with Vargas in control, and this one, Pineda's all over him.
Let him go. All right, so Roberto Vargas, a solid first round, a solid beginning to the second round as well, and then it was sort of a tale of two rounds. Jay, talk us through the early action here in the second round.
Early action, there's been so much action. You see here, Pineda throws a spinning back fist and missed. Vargas able to get on his back and use that momentum for a huge slam and then works him really hard looking for the TKO. But Pineda, no chump on his back, throws in an armbar, brings his hips around. Not deep enough to get the armbar, but for about 15-20 seconds here, it becomes a battle of attrition. Pineda's trying to get his hands in deep on that. Didn't make it, but the judges can see it and look at it. Look at the attempt that it was a attempt at ending the fight.
Yeah, Pineda doing a nice job reversing position there. The question is, did he do enough in the final 2 minutes of round 2 to steal it or win it on the judges' scorecards? We shall see, but the third round here to decide things. Anakin Chambers, cage side here in Robstown, Texas.
Vargas definitely looks like the fresher of the two fighters. Pineda just kind of flops to his back here, and Vargas is looking for the TKO with those punches.
Pineda eating a lot of fists and elbows there.
But you know, to his credit, he's doing a great job of defending himself. He didn't just lay there, didn't just fold up. You know, when you see a guy go in for the kill like that, it's because they smell blood, and in this case, he sees it as well. But Pineda, to his credit, able to recompose and put him back in an open guard.
Real high-level mixed martial arts showcase here. Neither guy trying to give in, neither one giving an inch, and
well, both of these guys know that they have a tournament spot down the road if they perform well in Bellator.
Sure.
Great thing about Bellator is this isn't matches made by, you know, who's the prettiest, who's the most marketable.
Absolutely.
These are matches made by the fighters for the fighters. You kick some butt in Bellator in a couple fights, I guarantee you're going to be in a tournament.
Absolutely. This fight just a special feature, but again, you crack the tournament field, and your mixed martial arts destiny is no longer in the hands of a promoter or our matchmaker, Matt Stansel. He puts the matches on paper, but once you get in the tournament, you win, you move on. And I think that's sort of the essence of pro sports and the essence of competition, and I think that's what sets the Bellator Fighting Championships apart.
I'd be happy to see either one of these guys in a tournament format, especially Vargas really coming in here, undefeated record, pushing the pace. It's hard to push 15 minutes the way that Vargas has. You know, a lot of guys can be fresh at the end of 15 minutes if they're not the ones that are being the aggressor and they're kind of playing possum, working off their back. And, you know, it's tiring, man, getting in there and working at the pace Vargas has and lifting your opponent up, slamming him down. And not to discredit Daniel Pineda at all, he's been working just as hard for those submissions. He hasn't given up. He knows that there's some fight left, and there's definitely some fight in him.
Strong elbow there, lands for Vargas up top. Another one sort of grazing blow. Pineda, as you mentioned earlier, doing a nice job of avoiding a ton of damage here, even though it looks like some of these strikes are landing.
Well, Pineda keeps trying to work that same left hook, slide it over to a left elbow across the face of Vargas. A lot of guys try to get cuts opened up early. So if the fight doesn't get stopped from it, gives you something to think about. Nobody likes seeing their own blood. I'm assuming Pineda here is going to need to start throwing up some submissions and work his legs a little higher.
Yeah, the crowd urging Daniel Pineda to get going. Of course, you never want to leave it in the judge's hands.
Just like I was saying, there Pineda threw up a triangle. Vargas just kind of timed it out and came around the side and used that opening to pass Pineda's guard. Now he's in cross side.
3 straight knees make it 4 for Vargas land.
It's like Sesame Street. 1, 2.
There you go. There you go. That was good.
Thank you.
You got to pull that out in the tournament.
You know, I'm a huge fan of Sesame Street.
So, Jay, about 90-plus seconds to go here in the fight. You think Vargas is ahead? Not that he wants to go conservative, but he would appear to be winning the fight.
Yeah, I think Vargas definitely is winning this fight. Referee going to stand up there for a lack of action.
Come on, let's go.
And if I had to say one person, yeah, I'd say give it to Vargas at this point. But Pineda did a great job of putting Vargas in danger. Oh, he misses with a big flying knee there. See, that's the thing that you have when you got a guy that's a little more showy like Pineda, throwing the spinning back fist, throwing the knees, and a guy like Vargas who's a little more methodical. He's going to wait for those openings, and when he sees them, he's going to capitalize on them.
See the blood there starting to stream again out of the nose of Daniel Pineda. Both warriors really 14 minutes in. Cardio hasn't abandoned them. Just an entertaining fight across the board.
Pineda's back working on that Kimura in the right arm there of Vargas. It's kind of a last-ditch effort. If he don't pull this off, it's probably going to be a decision win for Vargas. You know, one of the things that you don't think about is that being on your feet, taking leg kicks, kicking, all those takedowns, it really does wear fatigue on your leg. Oh, he's got that armbar and it's kind of deep. He can still catch it from here if he just gets a little more momentum or use it as a sweep. Vargas in a little bit of danger here, but now he's cross-side protecting his arm. If there's one thing that Bellator has shown us is that you can't count a fighter out until that third round bell has rung.
Imada Kamatobi.
Who? I don't know a Toby Imada. Oh, is that the guy that got the most YouTube hits over the weekend? #1 video. Holy cow. Crazy fights here in Bellator.
So the result hangs in the balance. Will it be Roberto Vargas or Daniel Pineda? We'll stay here as we await the judge's decision, and at least on the Jason Chambers scorecard, a close fight, but you're giving it to Roberto Vargas.
Absolutely. I think Vargas definitely did more damage in this fight. A couple of big takedowns. You know, the things that stand out to you as a viewer tend to be the things that stand out to you as a judge. You saw the big takedowns. You saw some good reversals. Pineda did throw up a couple of attempts there, threw up a triangle, threw up an arm bar, sat in on it a little bit, but for the most part, I don't think Pineda did enough to sway the judges in his decision, but that's why we're not judges.
Yeah, just to opine, I gave rounds 1 and 3 to Roberto Vargas. The second round also to Roberto Vargas. It was close, the closest of the 3 rounds, but I think you might see a Roberto Vargas unanimous decision here. 5-0 in his MMA career, making his Bellator debut tonight here in Robstown, Texas, and looking to move that record to 6-0. Roberto Vargas went to Cal Bakersfield, still actually trains with the wrestling team there on occasion. And showed you the wrestling skills tonight, showed you the striking, just busy. All about the cardio tonight for Roberto Vargas.
You see here a huge flying knee, just misses the head of Roberto Vargas, and that could have been the end of it if he caught it. If you take a look at this from another angle there, Pineda runs across the ring and tries to launch that flying knee and just misses by about an inch.
Barely grazed, yeah. You ever eaten one of those, Jay?
No, I can't say that I haven't, thank God. And here you got Pineda in on that Kimura attempt. He tried to work that a few times on Vargas, and this is the closest he got to it. He got it bent at about a 45-degree angle, working it up to that 90. Just didn't have the leverage to finish the fight. This is about as close as Pineda got to getting a submission. Vargas just passes the cross side and continues to work him.
All right, let's see who the judges were in favor of, Roberto Vargas or Daniel Pineda.
Damas y caballeros, después de 3 asaltos, esta es la decisión oficial. Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds, the official scorecard reads as follows. Los jueces Lee y Lucy Rogers están de acuerdo, entregando tarjetas idénticas de 29 a 28. Judges Lee and Lucy Rogers scored about identically at 29 to 28. Y el juez García anotó 30 a 27. Judge García scores it 30 to 27. For the winner, by way of unanimous decision, para el vencedor por decisión unánime, Roberto Vargas.
So Roberto Vargas remains undefeated in his mixed martial arts career, wins his featherweight debut under the Bellator banner against Daniel Pineda. Crowd here a little disappointed. Pineda out of Houston, Texas. Vargas representing San Bernardino, California. And you see a disappointed Daniel Pineda there. The blood streaming out of his nose and mouth. He's not the winner. Roberto Vargas is. You'll hear from him when we return. So Daniel Pineda had the crowd here in the Corpus Christi region of Texas, but Roberto Vargas had the better performance. The winner is standing by with Jason Chambers.
I'm here with your winner, improving to a perfect 6-0, Roberto Vargas. Talk to us a little bit about how you feel the fight went.
I felt like it went pretty good. I just a little bit slower paced than I thought I was going to take it. I was hoping I'd have a little bit more, power and be able to create a lot more motion and keep it going a little bit faster. A little slow for me, so.
He was in on a Kimura a couple times. Were there any of those close? Were you getting worried at all that he could catch you with a submission?
A little bit. It was slippery, so I wasn't sure which way it could go. So I just tried to keep position and try to stay locked down and not give him too much.
Well, he threw a spinning back fist at you that you capitalized on there. Same thing, that flying knee. Did you see those coming from a little ways out, or were you just happy that those missed?
Not. I pretty much felt them coming a little bit. You can kind of tell when you see them there, and then they're gone. So, you just kind of have to react and try to do what you can with them. So.
Well, you did a fantastic job, and we look forward to seeing more of you. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner, Roberto Vargas.
So a great first round of action. The second and third rounds didn't necessarily live up to that, but a great, exciting fight. And more importantly for Roberto Vargas, he gets the W in his first Bellator fight. More action from Robstown, Texas in a moment. And welcome back to the Central Pavilion Arena. John Anik and Jason Chambers, cage side here in Robstown, Texas. It is the Bellator Fighting Championship 6 this week. The featherweight tournament semifinals last week in Dayton, Ohio. It was the lightweight tournament semifinals, and truly a night for the ages for the Bellator Fighting Championships. It featured one of the truly great mixed martial arts triumphs that you will ever see. Jorge Masvidal, game bred, you see there, taking on the underdog Toby Imada. Masvidal was favored, and through the first 2 rounds, that's exactly how it played out. Masvidal on point with his striking, the ground and pound there. You see Imada took a lot of punishment there, but early in round 3, as Imada's face showed the damage, the tide began to turn. Imada, while on Masvidal's back, locks in on the inverse triangle choke, and before Masvidal could recover, he was out cold. Jason, some have called it the best submission they've ever seen.
I think this is by far the best submission I've ever seen. Toby Imada locks in a backwards, upside down triangle choke, and it is good night, Jorge Masvidal.
I mean, I don't know that you've ever seen an inverse triangle choke work to perfection like that on a major MMA stage. Toby Imada moving on to the lightweight tournament final. Then he sat back and watched as his opponent was determined in the other semi between Eddie Alvarez and Eric Reynolds, and it was a truly calculated approach for Alvarez. Rather than standing and trading with a fellow striker, Alvarez decided to take the fight to the ground, showing off the ground and pound there. Really was able to land at will. Total domination for the favorite, and then eventually he gets him up against the cage. Eddie Alvarez locks in on the rear naked choke. His second submission in as many Bellator fights. Jamie Alvarez enjoyed it as well. Eddie Alvarez moves on to the Bellator Lightweight Championship. 2 fighters remain. We began with 8. It'll be Eddie Alvarez against Toby Imada for the Lightweight Tournament Championship, June 19th at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. We cannot wait to see what Imada has in store against what we expect to be the favorite in Eddie Alvarez. All right, now we continue with the action here in Robstown, Texas. A special feature attraction in the featherweight division against 2 guys that had tournament aspirations here early on at 145. Both guys, though, suffered defeats in the tournament. It will be Luis Palomino, 28 years old, fighting out of Miami, Florida, taking on the ghost Nick Gonzalez out of Austin, Texas, also 28 years old. Really an intriguing matchup here on paper. We'll see how it translates once the fighters get to the circle. First up, Luis Palomino.
Right now, the biggest sacrifice for my family right now, Bellator. You know, we're sacrificing a lot for this show because, you know, I've been married for 8 years, and you know, my son is 6 years old. We've never been separated. We've gotten through some bad times. Before my son was born, my wife and I said on TV, we lived in the street, man. I lived in the van. Did she go anywhere? Did she go to her mother's house when her mother's house was open? Nah, she was there with me in that van. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna forget those things, you know? And right now, where are we right now? Right now, she's with her mother. Who am I with? I'm with my mom, with my brother. You know, and why is this? Because, you know, it's a sacrifice that I'm doing. You know, I'm concentrating on this show because it's not just one fight. It's a 3-fight tournament. And, you know what I mean? It's not just that it's so much money in there. You know, of course the money counts. But I want the recognition of being one of the best in the world. You know, I want to change, you know, I want a better future for my son and my wife. You know what I mean? This is going to change our lives.
So Luis Palomino hoping for better things in his second appearance in the Bellator circle. In the quarterfinals of the featherweight division, lost a split decision to Esteban Payan. Really was a close fight. I think you and I scored it for Palomino, those second and third rounds. The judges saw it otherwise.
Yeah, that was a really, really close round. A guy like Luis Palomino, he likes to swing for the fences. You know, the majority of his wins, 5 of those coming by way of knockout. Not a big ground guy, likes to stand toe-to-toe, throws some heavy leather, and hits like a tank.
Baboon, they also call him the Peruvian prodigy, moved to the United States at 10 years old, calls himself an educated street brawler. If you know the book on Palomino, fought a lot on the streets after his family was separated early on. That was a problem, turned that problem into a sport. That sport eventually became his profession, and really a talented fighter here. I know a lot of people didn't see the Luis Palomino that we've come to love in his Bellator debut. He's expecting better things tonight. All right, so is his opponent. That is Nick the Ghost Gonzalez. His source of inspiration certainly comes from above.
Get a phone call at work that they're telling me that he has 24 hours to live, that I should probably try to get to Houston if I can to come and, you know, pay my last respects. Get up to Houston, and I remember when I get to the ER where he was at, he was already pretty much comatose. So, at that point, I tried, of course, you're crying and stuff. Your dad's, dying in front of you. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I mean, I never really got to hear back from him say, okay, son, we're at peace now, whatever. But, I like to think in my heart he could hear me. I actually got this Calavera was inspired by him. He was a tech sergeant in the Air Force. Day of the Dead is a holiday that Calaveras represent the loved ones that pass. You celebrate their life on that day more than the actual death. I would always sit and pray before the fight, and I know he's up there watching, so that always helps me when I go in if I have a little nerve or a little fear or something like that.
Well, if that piece on Nick Gonzalez doesn't inspire you, maybe it's pulse check in time. Nick Gonzalez, the Ghost, hoping for better things in his second appearance here for the Bellator Fighting Championships.
Well, I think one of the things he's hoping for is to continue the streak of most of his wins coming by way of knockout. 5 knockouts to Nick's credit. You saw there that he has fantastic hands. Actually used to be a boxer before he got into mixed martial arts. Had a 3-1 record as a pro boxer. Feels really comfortable on his feet. This is going to be an interesting matchup because he's got the exact same height, exact same weight, very, very similar reach as Luis Palomino. So I'm expecting this fight to be a one for the fans.
Gonzalez was in the featherweight tournament, was favored in his quarterfinal against Jair Reyes, eventually lost by rear naked choke. Gonzalez, who trains under Guy Mezger at Mezger's Combat Sports Club in Dallas, Texas, has now alternated wins and losses over his last 6 fights, and those 3 losses have all been by rear naked choke. I think safe to say that Nick, over the course of the last year and a half or so, has been susceptible to the submission.
Yeah, might be time to start working some rear naked choke defense.
You'd like to think so.
I lost 3 of my fights by ankle lock, and it's frustrating when you keep getting beat by the same thing.
All right, well, we expect fireworks. Palomino and Gonzalez, we send it inside for the announcement.
Este combate está pactado a 3 asaltos en la división peso pluma. Ladies and gentlemen, this bout scheduled for 3 rounds of MMA action in the featherweight division. Los jueces son, the judges are Jason Garcia, Lee Rogers y Lucy Rogers. El referee, John Shorley. En la esquina azul, in the blue corner, vestido de negro con blanco y rojo. He steps into the ring wearing black, trimmed in white and red. Su peso oficial, 146 libras y 3/4. His official weight, 146 3/4 pounds. Un especialista en boxeo tailandés y jiu-jitsu brasileño, con un récord profesional de 9 victorias y 5 derrotas. He is a Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu practitioner with an MMA record of 9 victories against 5 losses. Representing Team Nogueira, Miami, La Florida, Luis Baboon Palomino. En la esquina roja, in the red corner, sube el cuadrilátero vestido de pantaloncillos negros con vivos blancos y rojos. He steps into the ring wearing the black trunks trimmed in white and red. Detuvo la báscula, un peso oficial de 146 libras. He tipped the scales at an official 146 pounds. Un experto en la disciplina de boxeo tailandés con un récord profesional de 14 victorias y 7 derrotas. He is an expert in the discipline of Muay Thai with a professional record of 14 victories against 7 defeats. Representando el gimnasio, representing Guy Mezger Combat Sports Club, Austin, Texas, Nick the Ghost Gonzalez.
Okay, guys, give me a good, clean fight, touch gloves, good luck.
So Nick Gonzalez, we mentioned the last fight against Jair Reyes, called it a reality check, says he regrouped shortly thereafter. You see Guy Mezger there, the MMA legend, in Nick Gonzalez's corner, and Mezger really is a huge fan of Nick Gonzalez's. Gonzalez started training there a couple years ago on and off, now has been training full-time in Dallas over the last 8 or 9 months. We'll see if it translates here tonight.
Now, both of these guys have a lot of pressure coming down from their coaches, self-imposed pressure. Obviously, Nick Gonzalez there having Guy Metzger in his corner,
Sure.
and Luis Palomino training with the world-famous Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, the Nogueira brothers.
Yeah, Nogueira was with us in Florida for Palomino's first fight. Didn't make the trip tonight. Probably busy training for Randy Couture. But a huge crossroads fight here for both of these guys.
Yeah, this is going to be a good stand-up war. I think both of these guys favor standing up. They're going to test each other because, you know, fighters tend to have a little ego, and we're going to see who here has the best of the hands. Both guys just kind of feeling each other out, finding their range right now. Palamino connects with a nice Muay Thai kick to the front leg of Gonzalez. I'd really be shocked to see if this fight went to the ground.
Yeah, Gonzalez saying he really wants to impress the Bellator executives on his feet. Some spinning back fists, some flying knees. Wants to show that he belongs in the Bellator featherweight division, which by the way, is extremely crowded right now.
Both of these guys match up so well together. Like I was just saying before, both of them 5'6", both have 5 wins by knockout. So this is almost like fighting a mirror image of yourself.
Right.
You know, who's going to be the one that imposes their will is what it's going to come down to.
Gonzalez had to be encouraged during training for Palomino that Luis not necessarily known for his jiu-jitsu, but Palomino tells us that people sleep on his ground game. We haven't seen much of it, at least so far, in his first fight plus for Bellator.
Well, another ironic thing is both Luis Palomino and Nick Gonzalez have 2 of their wins by submission. Obviously different records. Palomino sporting 9-5 and Gonzalez 14-7, but 5 knockouts for both, 2 submissions by both, and I have a feeling that this fight is going to end with a knockout.
Palomino getting it done with his feet, the front leg kick.
Oh, and then no sooner do I speak, Palomino throws a big right hand, and it's... Oh, the referee said it's all over.
Yeah, John Shorley steps in. Nick Gonzalez wanted to have a chance to recover. Luis Palomino celebrating. Perhaps a premature stoppage. We will, of course, take a look at the replay, but the Palomino power, we've talked about it in the past, on display here tonight in Texas.
One of the things that Palomino's corner said is that this guy hits so hard for a 145-pounder. He easily hits as hard as a 170-pounder or a 185-pounder, and Nick Gonzalez looked like he got to see what that felt like tonight. They put Nick on his butt in that one punch, and the referee stopped in. Obviously, fighter safety is paramount here, and the referee had a much closer look than we did, and he felt that Luis Palomino got the better of that exchange, and Nick Gonzalez was unable to defend himself. Sometimes flash knockouts happen, and the refs need to step in and just take safety as the first step.
Well, Nick Gonzalez, before fighting Jair Reyes in the featherweight quarterfinals, had never been dropped before. Now twice in as many Bellator fights, he is dropped. We are going to take a look at the replay because an interesting stoppage for John Shorley. We'll see if it's controversial when we give you a look at the replay here, but Luis Palomino, either way, landed a punch flush, and it sent Gonzalez down.
Yeah, this was a big punch. You see, he threw a left hand and a right uppercut that just snuck in there on Gonzalez and it knocked him on his butt. Couple of big right hands there, and the referee, from his vantage point, it appeared that Nick Gonzalez was covering up and not able to intelligently defend himself. You see here that right lands right on the chin, and Palomino does a good job of following that up with a few hands. From the referee's standpoint, Nick Gonzalez puts his hands up, and it was all over.
And Palomino, a nice little cartwheel, no hands necessary. I will say, though, Jason, we talk so much in mixed martial arts about stoppages, and I am always in favor of a late stoppage as opposed to a premature one. That looked a little bit early to me. We send it inside for the official announcement.
Damas y caballeros, el referee John Shorley detiene el combate con un tiempo oficial de 2 minutos 13 segundos del primer asalto. Ladies and gentlemen, referee John Shorley calls a halt to this bout with an official time of 2 minutes 13 seconds of the first round. Your winner, by way of technical knockout, el vencedor por nocaut técnico, Luis Baboon Palomino.
Well, as always in mixed martial arts, one man's triumph is another man's pain. You heard when they announced the referee there, John Shorley, the crowd all over the official. Arguably a premature stoppage here. That's certainly my argument, but Luis Palomino getting it done, showing off the right hands, and he's a happy man, now 1-1 in the Bellator Fighting Championships. So Baboon bounces back in style, 10 career victories, and his 7th first-round knockout. The winner standing by with Jason Chambers.
I'm here with your winner, Luis Baboon Palomino. Luis, talk us through that stoppage at the end.
It's very simple, man. We went at it. Hey, I know this is hometown, so I admit it to you guys. He rocked me too, but I got him, man. You know, I got nothing to say for you guys, but he rocked me. He's a good guy. He trains hard. I thought he should have won this last fight. I didn't, you know, underestimate the guy. But hey, I caught him. So I'm saying he rocked me, but I got him.
So you felt those punches landed clean, and it was a legit stoppage.
Legit, man. I can't get no more legit. I hit him real hard on the floor. I seen the ref coming, and I slowed down. I don't like to hurt people more than I have to, man.
Well, that was your first win in Bellator. It's got to feel good to get back on the winning streak.
It feels great. You know, my life has gone through a big change. And like I said, in my last fight, I wasn't there, man. I was not there, and I still got a 1-point split decision. So you're going to see a lot from me, man. I'm here now.
You're here now. You used a lot of energy in the fight and a little extra energy afterwards. A little capoeira there. Looking forward to seeing more of it. Luis Baboon Palomino.
And so a great reaction there from Luis Palomino after the fight, getting it done here in the Bellator Fighting Championships as he bounces Nick Gonzalez for his 10th career victory. Palomino did not think the stoppage was early. Coming up, the featherweight tournament semifinals. You see Esteban Payan there getting ready. His opponent, Jair Reyes, who will emerge with $50,000 and a spot in the final. We find out right after this. Mike side, Jason Chambers, I'm John Anik. So glad to have you with us in Robstown, Texas, the Central Pavilion Arena. The destiny continues right now with our featherweight tournament semifinals. We began with 8, we're down to 4. So now we take a look at how we've gotten to this point of the featherweight tournament. Nick Gonzalez was the heavy favorite against Tijuana's Jair Reyes, but once the action began, it was the underdog that got the better of it. Reyes, the aggressor, right out of the chute. Once he saw an opening on the ground, Reyes pounced, no hesitation. Gonzalez eventually succumbs to the submission. Jair Reyes taking advantage of the opportunity. He moves on to the final 4 of the Bellator featherweight tournament. Also at 145, Luis Palomino was favored in his quarterfinal against Esteban Payan. Great action at the end of round 1. Palomino hits the canvas. Palomino able to recover there, but never really got off in the fight. Esteban Payan has his hand raised by split decision. Meantime, no Bellator fighter has as much current momentum as the Hammer Joe Soto against the veteran Ben Greer. Soto showed the world why he'll be a force to be reckoned with at 145. Great accurate striking there, a lot of power, and for the 5th time in 5 pro fights, Soto finishes his opponent in the first round. The pre-tournament favorite, Wilson Hayes, took on Henry Martinez in his quarterfinal, and it would end better than it started for the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Hayes dominates the action over the fight's final 10 minutes. Wilson Hayes remains perfect, 7-0 in his mixed martial arts career. So 4 elite featherweights remain in the single elimination Bellator Fighting Championships tournament. Joe Soto and Wilson Hayes, Jair Reyes taking on Esteban Payan. So 3 rounds in the featherweight division, a tournament semifinal, 50,000 large, and a spot in the championship on the line. Esteban Payan opposite Jair Reyes, and for Payan, MMA's nothing after where he's been.
There's a lot of people watching over me. It has to be. Like I said, I've been to Iraq 3 times and never shot. Came close to getting blown up, but nothing. It was a long road, you know. I've seen a lot of people pass away. A lot of my family just not doing good. And like my little brother, I try to help him out. I moved him out to New York with me to stay with me. And he didn't enjoy it because it wasn't the life he liked. I didn't drink, I didn't party. So he wanted to come back here. And he came back, and a month later, a couple weeks later, he got killed. Just random person just shot him. Growing up, all my little cousins, my little brothers, they looked up to like our uncles that gang banged and drug dealed, and I didn't really see that as a way, you know. yeah, it's pretty glorious when you've got like quick cash, but what is it worth, you know, looking over your shoulder? It's just not worth anything.
So what a tremendous story for Estevan Payan, fighting out of Phoenix, Arizona, and just a colossal opportunity for him tonight.
Yeah, he's got 5 kids to take care of. I mean, this guy really...
All under the age of 6, by the way.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, you're talking about toddlers everywhere you go.
Yeah, he's got to have the patience of a saint to go along with those fathering skills. You know, he's seen war overseas, and he's definitely seen war in a cage, and hopefully this war pays off a little better for him at the end of this tournament.
Fighting out of the famed Arizona Combat Sports in Phoenix, Arizona, Trevor and Todd Lally in his corner. I see one of the Lally brothers at least over there tonight, and a lot of quality training partners down there in Phoenix.
Yeah, there is. There's a ton of guys down there. You got Joe Riggs, Drew Fickett, Santino DeFranco, Jamie Varner, just to name a few of the guys that have come out of Arizona Combat Sports. Tons of tough guys. Estevan Payan, of course, like you said, having Trevor and Todd Lally, great coaches. You know, I've trained with those guys when I lived in Arizona. To this day, I still can't tell the twins apart.
I'm telling you, I'm an identical twin, so I feel your pain. Definite size advantage for Payan against most opponents at 145. Not necessarily against Jair Reyes tonight, but for Payan, 7-1, 5'11" tall, 146 pounds. Never been finished in 8 career bouts. And I think that's got to be encouraging for him tonight against Jair Reyes. Of course, coming off the narrow split decision win over Luis Palomino in April. All right, now we get to his opponent, Jair Reyes. He battled physical adversity en route to the Bellator semis.
Una de las cosas más grandes para yo poder llegar en donde estoy actualmente fue que tuve que superar una caída de nuca que estuvo a punto de dejarme cuadrapléjico. Yo no podía mover mi lado izquierdo, yo tenía un problema en las cervicales y fue muy difícil ese año porque mi sueño siempre fue pelear y que 4 doctores me dijeran que yo ya no iba a poder pelear nunca fue algo muy triste para mí. Seguí entrenando sin parar hasta que en el 2004, después de un año de estar fuera de las peleas, yo decidí irme al Nacional de Muay Thai en la ciudad de Toluca. Sin permiso de mi doctor, yo me fui a pelear y gané medalla de plata y yo seguí peleando a pesar de que todos me habían dicho que ya no iba a poder pelear nunca.
So how about that? The doctors didn't stop Jair Reyes. The question is, will Estevan Payan stop him tonight? And already you hear the crowd here for Jair Reyes. Evidently they've made their way from Tijuana, Mexico here to Robstown, Texas tonight.
I don't think it's that far of a ride, is it?
That's a good question.
You know, it's hard to pick a winner. This, again, is a pick 'em fight. Both of these guys, really a coin flip going into this. Usually mixed martial art fights, you can kind of hedge your bets a little bit and say, oh, this guy's stronger. He's fought tougher opponents. Both Estevan Payan and Jair Reyes, tough guys, and both have gone through some crazy adversity to get there and understand the opportunity that's presented tonight.
Jair Reyes with 8 career submission victories, comes in riding a 5-fight winning streak, has finished 4 of those opponents, and Jay was really proud of the win over Nick Gonzalez in the featherweight quarterfinals. He was the underdog in that fight, and he not only beat Gonzalez, but was able to do so with the rear naked choke. A tremendously satisfying performance for Jair Reyes.
Yeah, you know, it just goes to show you that Jair Reyes started his mixed martial arts career primarily as a boxer, kickboxer, but doesn't like the kickboxing as much as he said he likes getting into the ground and the grappling, and really feels he gravitates more towards that, showing it in his fight against Nick Gonzalez with the rear naked choke.
Well, he's more well-known internationally than he is in the U.S., but that is beginning to change. Will he move on to the Bellator final?
Desde RMB Fairgrounds, Robstown, Texas. Damas y caballeros, prepárense, prepare yourselves for Bellator Fighting Championships. Presentado por, being brought to you by Ford Motor Company, Hecho con Fuerza Ford y ESPN Deportes. Este es el primer combate semifinal pactado a 3 asaltos del torneo de eliminación directa en la división peso pluma de Bellator Fighting Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, our first semifinal bout in the Bellator Fighting Championships Single Elimination Featherweight Tournament. Los jueces son, the judges are Lucy Rogers, Lee Rogers y Jason Garcia. El referee, John Shorley. Presentando la esquina azul, introducing the blue corner. Sube el cuadrilátero vestido de pantaloncillos negros con vivos blancos y rojos. He steps into the ring, wearing the black trunks trimmed in white and red. Su peso oficial, 146 libras y media. His official weight, 146 1/2 pounds. Un experto en las disciplinas de boxeo y lucha libre, con un récord profesional de 7 victorias y solo una derrota. He is a boxer and wrestler with an MMA record of 7 victories against 1 lone defeat. Representing Arizona Combat Sports, Phoenix, Arizona, Esteban, el terrible Payan. Su rival en la esquina roja is the opponent in the red corner, vestido de negro con blanco y rojo. He also steps in wearing black trimmed in white and red. Detuvo la báscula un peso oficial de 145 libras y un cuarto. He tipped the scales at an official 145 1/4 pounds. Practica las artes marciales de boxeo tailandés y jiu-jitsu brasileño, con un récord profesional de 13 victorias y 5 derrotas. He is a Muay Thai fighter and jiu-jitsu practitioner with a professional record of 13 victories and 5 defeats. Representing Reyes Gym y Puro Tijuana, Baja California, México, Yair, el Guerrero Reyes.
Vamos. Let's go. Okay, guys, give me a good, clean fight. Touch gloves. Good luck.
All right, so here you have it. Esteban Payan taking on Jair Reyes. A spot in the Bellator featherweight tournament final on June 5th is on the line, as is $50,000. A huge opportunity on the United States mixed martial arts landscape for both of these fighters here tonight. We'll see who takes advantage. All right, the touch of the gloves, and we are underway with the Bellator featherweight semifinals. Esteban Payan on the left side of your screen, Jair Reyes on the right.
Esteban Payan, I was talking to the Lallies there, and again, I don't know which one I was talking to, but he said he walks around at about 180 pounds, which is huge for a 145er. So I'm assuming right now he's at least 160, 165, if not closer to 170.
And Jair Reyes isn't small for a featherweight either, but you see the size advantage still for Payan, right?
Yeah, both guys, 5'10", 5'11", respectively, and it definitely looks that Payan is a little thicker, bigger frame than Reyes, but not sure that that's going to play a huge factor here. Both guys have a great reach, comfortable slugging it out on their feet. Nice body kick there by Payan.
Now in Payan's featherweight quarterfinal against Luis Palomino, had a great first round, especially the end of it, but then didn't do a whole lot in rounds 2 and 3. We'll see how he approaches round 1 after what happened the last time.
Well, so far it looks like Esteban Payan is coming out the aggressor. He's controlling the center of the ring. He's kind of stalking down his prey there in Reyes. Not getting a whole lot off yet, but you got to wonder if he's going to play it a little more conservative, bank that money, go into the final, kind of like Eddie Alvarez did, or if he's going to come out and try to make an impression.
Well, Jair Reyes hoping to have something to say about that. He's coming off the win over Nick Gonzalez. He was susceptible a little bit to Gonzalez's power, but eventually was able to get Nick to the ground and submitted him soon thereafter.
I'll tell you, if Reyes keeps his hands as low as he's throwing them, you see he keeps dropping his hands to his hips, and Payan's going to connect with the right hand and drop him to the mat. Reyes needs to keep those hands up there, especially when he gets in that striking range. Dangerous to have your back to the fence when you have a guy that's a really good striker like Payan hunting you down. It limits your mobility. You can't really move back, can't move side to side and laterally as much. And you see that Reyes is circling to the left, which is not necessarily something you want to do. You don't want to circle into your opponent's power hand. You want to try to get outside of that lead foot and stay away from it so you're not setting up the momentum going into that. Good leg kick there by Reyes.
Again, if you're just joining us for the first time on Bellator.com, the Bellator Fighting Championships, unlike any mixed martial arts in the United States, fighters control their own destiny here in the tournament. You win, you move on. No promoters or matchmakers getting in the way. You enter the tournament, you win, and you move on.
You see Payan there trying to counter with a right hand when Reyes throws that right leg kick. Both guys here showing a lot of respect for each other. Now we see how it works on the ground. Payan's in on the front headlock. His corner's yelling, get up. There we go, and now he's up. You want to reach for those feet, get kicked in the face.
Couple nice kicks there for the backside. And again, you hear the Lally brothers in the corner telling Esteban Payan to keep this thing standing up, and he backs up.
He's more aggressive. I think that's Trevor Lally.
We'll go with Trevor.
Let's go with Trevor. It's Trevor Lally in the corner there of Esteban Payan telling him to stand up. And, you got to think that he's telling him to be a little aggressive and move forward, which is just what he's done. And so far, Reyes is just kind of looking to counterpunch a little bit. Kind of letting that right leg hang out there when he throws that kick. And I'm going to assume that that right hand is going to connect if Reyes keeps those hands as low as he has when he's throwing that kick. Time will tell.
But clearly the strategy, Jay, for the Arizona Combat Sports Corner, for Payan's corner, is they respect Reyes' jiu-jitsu and don't necessarily want to engage on the ground?
I don't think he needs to engage on the ground. I don't think that Yair Reyes' wrestling is that much of a threat. I think his jiu-jitsu is probably a little further along with Payan, but, that double leg there in kind of deep. Oh, made me a layer right there. Now we got to see the guard of Esteban Payan. Working a little bit of rubber guard. Tried to bring that foot around the arm of Yair Reyes to try to set up an Gogo Plata. Or Umaplata, it just really depends on where he's going to finish that with. One thing Arizona Combat Sports has, though, is they do have a great grappling program down there with Gustavo Dantes, former Abu Dhabi competitor. So I'm sure Esteban Payan is getting some great training. You got guys like Jamie Varner, the 155-pound WEC champ, putting Esteban Payan on his back and working out of his guard.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot that he's not going to see here that Reyes is going to throw at him. Good up kicks.
Yeah, solid up kick there for Payan, and trying to find an opportunity to get back to his feet, and he does.
I'm really impressed that Esteban Payan is listening to the corner as well as he is.
Yeah.
You heard, who did we agree it was? Trevor Lally.
Yeah, we're going with Trevor tonight, yep.
We heard Trevor Lally say post up and get up, and so far I got to give this round to Payan, but a close one, really close.
Yeah, I would agree, and Jair Reyes did have some opportunities there in the first round, a close first round. Could have gone either way.
Yeah,
but on the chamber scorecard, it is 10-9 Esteban Payan, yeah?
So far, the only thing that concerns me is that second takedown that Yair Reyes had towards the end of the match. It looked like he got a double leg in there. The judges may look at that. May have looked at that, although Esteban Payan, again, the aggressor the whole time, pressed forward.
Well, we hope you're enjoying the action here in Robstown, Texas. The Bellator Fighting Championships hit Chicago next Friday. Please join us May 15th at the Aragon Ballroom. Bellator 7, it's the welterweight tournament semifinals. Lyman Good, Jorge Ortiz, Dave Monet, and Omar De La Cruz. Tickets are yours at all Ticketmaster outlets, Ticketmaster.com, or by calling 1-800-745-3000. We hope to see you May 15th in the Windy City, the hometown of one Jason Chambers. Good to be back for you in Chicago next week, I'd imagine.
Can't complain.
You will be there, right?
I will. I think I will be.
I mean, I can call the fights, but once the replays come in, I need your expertise. You got to show.
I'm glad I have some usefulness here on the broadcast team. Thank you very much, Mr. Anik.
So again, the semifinal here, Esteban Payan and Jair Reyes. So much on the line, not just the money, $50,000 and a spot in the tournament final, but a chance for these guys to really make a name for themselves in the United States in mixed martial arts. You emerge with the Bellator gold at the end of this tournament, and they'll be talking about you on all the MMA shows, on all the websites, all the underground forums. These guys, I think, both realize what's at stake here.
Yeah, like I was saying before, the 145-pound weight class isn't something we've seen a whole lot of here in the U.S. We kind of have the stars already established in certain classes like 55, 70, 85 on up. The 35, 45, these are kind of open. I mean, it's a newer thing. Only in the last couple of years with the WEC have we seen more of that. A lot of times guys at this weight class had to go to Japan to fight, or they had to move up to 155.
And again, I think we talk so much about the lightweight division and all of mixed martial arts being very deep. It seems like the featherweight division is really starting to round out. Two guys here that could compete at lightweight, but they're able to make the cut. And if you can, why not compete at 145?
Yeah, that's a big cut for Payan. Like I said, walking around at 180, 185 pounds, getting down 40 pounds through his training camp. You hear the Lallies yelling, punch him in the face. Obviously, they just want him to stay active. And I got to say, if the pace stays like this and the fight kind of keeps this this momentum going. It's going to go again to Esteban Payan. He's controlling the center of the ring, and he's moving forward while Yair Reyes is moving backwards.
Yeah, cage control, of course, one of the criteria for the judges, and Jair Reyes, as you mentioned, he's been backing up the whole fight.
Tried to get in a double leg there.
Yeah, you see his strategy. He does not want to stand in exchange with Esteban Payan.
It's going to be interesting to see if Yair Reyes is able to finish that single leg he's in on. He's pretty deep in on that single. He needs to yank it in towards him and use his head to dump Esteban Payan onto his right shoulder. But again, Esteban Payan training with some great wrestlers there in Arizona, not letting them have it. Backing away and happy to keep this fight on their feet.
You hear the Payan corner saying he doesn't want to fight in terms of Jair Reyes. So again, you see him backing up, and I don't think that's necessarily the case, but really hasn't gotten much done here in the first 7+ minutes of the fight. Oh! How about the spinning back fist? Jair Reyes! How about the knockout there? Look out!
How crazy was
Esteban Payan goes down. We saw it a week ago with Toby Imada's submission, and 1 week later, another moment for Bellator. Jair Reyes out of nowhere.
I think we're going to have another YouTube video clip coming up here soon. That was a huge spinning back fist that Esteban Payan just walked right into, and clearly Yair Reyes was losing the first round and the second round and just connected with a beautiful back fist a la Shoney Carter and Matt Serra. Out go the lights of Esteban Payan.
Jason, I've seen a lot of things in my career covering mixed martial arts. I don't know that I've ever seen a spinning back fist result in a direct knockout like that. Of course, the fight that you just mentioned, but up close and personal, unbelievable performance by Jair Reyes.
Yeah, that's what I love about Bellator. You can't predict who's going to win fights. I mean, you can look at a card, you can look at a stat sheet. By all accounts here, Esteban Payan, 7-1. Yair Reyes, 13-5. You know, clearly Esteban Payan looks on paper to be the stronger fighter, has a little bit better camp, a little better training partners, had a good game plan coming in, but Yair Reyes decides, I'm going to throw a wild spinning back fist and connects to it.
So last week we had unquestionably the front runner for submission of the year, and a week later I think you've got your front runner for knockout of the year.
Yeah, let's take a look at this here. You see Esteban Payan misses. Yair Reyes is backpedaling and tries to time this. He's going to step with his foot, do a spin, connects with the forearm. Just clobbered Esteban Payan. And then he tried working for that rear naked choke. We take a look from another angle. He just steps over with that front foot, gets that torque on that back arm, and it is good night, Esteban Payan.
Yeah, that is bone on bone, forearm on forehead, I believe, and Jair Reyes, 2 finishes in the tournament, and none sweeter than this one. Wow, right on the chin, Jay.
Yeah, it's going to be an aspirin headache.
So Jair Reyes, when you looked at this field of 8 guys at the beginning of the tournament, he was probably 7 or 8 on the depth chart, and lo and behold, he's made $75,000, and now he's going to fight on June 5th for the Bellator Featherweight Championship. An unbelievable result here in Robstown, Texas. We send it inside. The voice of the Bellator Circle, Lupe Contreras.
Damas y caballeros, este combate concluye de forma dramática con un tiempo oficial de 1 minuto 56 segundos del segundo asalto. Ladies and gentlemen, this bout comes to a sudden and dramatic end with an official time of 1 minute, 56 seconds of round number 2. Your winner by way of knockout. And moving on to the finals of Bellator Fighting Championships. Damas y caballeros, el vencedor por knockout y avanzando a las finales de Bellator Fighting Championships, Yair El Guerrero Reyes.
The second week in a row, speechless cage side here at the Bellator Fighting Championships. Jair Reyes, too happy to even take his mouthpiece out. You saw Esteban Payan, his face bouncing up off the canvas there. Jair Reyes has the first spot in the Bellator Fighting Championships featherweight final. He now awaits the winner of our next semifinal between Joe Soto and Wilson Reis. And that's a tough act to follow for Soto and Reis, both guys unbeaten in their mixed martial arts career. Jair Reyes, a spinning back fist. The forearm lands flush, and he is on to the championship. One more look, and good night. You see Payan bouncing right off the canvas face first, and John Shorley gets in to separate the fighters shortly thereafter. Jair Reyes, all smiles. He's moving on to the finals. We will hear from the pride of Tijuana, Mexico, Jair Reyes, when we return to Robstown, Texas. So Jair Reyes didn't get a whole lot done in the first round, saved it all for round number 2, sort of lulls his opponent to sleep, and Jair Reyes is on to the final. Jason Chambers standing by with the winner.
I'm here with your winner, Jair Reyes. What an amazing, amazing knockout finish. Tell me a little bit about how it feels to move on in the Bellator tournament.
Increíble el knockout que diste. Por favor, explícanos cómo fue que diste ese giro y lo noqueaste.
Bueno, más que nada esta pelea la manejamos por estrategia. Y bueno, esto era una de mis técnicas favoritas para poder derrotar a mi oponente, ya que está muy fuerte. Es un peleador muy difícil, muy buen peleador.
Pretty much strategy. We planned it out. We started Esteban Payan, so this was planned. It's one of the techniques that we had in mind.
Well, walk us through this technique here at the end of the fight.
Explícanos acerca de cómo fue esta técnica, cómo se dio el desenlace de la pelea.
Bueno, cuando Esteban Payan tira los golpes, baja las manos. Y yo engañé con una patada, pero me fui con el golpe de vuelta.
He says that every time he was throwing punches, he lowers his defense. So he was able to cut him over there.
So how do you feel about moving on in the tournament and the opportunity to win another $100,000?
Bueno, ¿cómo le vas a hacer para enfrentar? Te vas a la final y la posibilidad de ganar $175,000.
Yo quiero ser el campeón de Bellator y voy con todo para la final.
He wants to be the champion and he's gonna throw everything on the line to become the Bellator champion.
Well, we're gonna see if you do become that champion in the Bellator finale, the 145-pound division. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner, Jair Reyes.
So Esteban Payan eats some canvas. Jair Reyes can eat a 5-star meal after that performance. Next up, Wilson Hayes, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, taking on the California Joe Soto for the right to take on Jair Reyes in the featherweight tournament final. So one spot remains in the featherweight tournament final against Jair Reyes. Will it be Joe Soto or Wilson Hayes? Both guys unbeaten. Joe Soto, a slight underdog. MMA is Soto's calling, and he found it.
I think I fight because it's what I was born to do. It's always been in me. I've always wanted to be a fighter. I can remember when I was young, when it was Halloween, I always dressed up as a ninja. I can remember watching Bruce Lee movies, and I always kind of wanted to be the best fighter in the world. I always wanted to be a great fighter. I don't really like to do anything else besides working out, or either wrestling or jiu-jitsu or anything that involves fighting. I don't really. That's the main focus. I don't really like to do anything else. Going into a fight, that's my motivation. Finishing in the first round, finishing as quick as possible, taking care of business and getting out there and collecting my money. I don't think I ever wanted to be an average person. I always wanted to do something unique and be someone special. So I fear being average.
Joe Seto's going to win the whole thing, and everybody's going to be impressed on how he wins this tournament. I'm impressed with as the little time as I've been working with him on how fast he learns, how fast he picks things up. Nobody's going to even notice him until he wins the whole thing.
And here he is, 22-year-old Joe Soto out of Santa Rosa, California. Jay's been doing mixed martial arts on and off since 2006. He's on right now.
He's definitely on. He had a big TKO round 1 finish over Ben Greer in the first round of the featherweight tournament. Perfect 5-0 record. Knows how to mix up his fights. 3 of those wins came by knockout or TKO. 2 of them by submission. He's going to have his hands full with submission expert Wilson Hayes tonight.
And he demolished Ben Greer. I mean, no need to sugarcoat it. Ben Greer came in with, I think, 3 times as many pro fights, and Joe Soto mopped the canvas with him.
Yeah, he walked through him. He made him look like he shouldn't have been in the ring, for sure, with him.
Well, obviously, the big question for Joe Soto, less than 10 minutes of total cage time in his 5 mixed martial arts fights. And the question is, will that ever become a factor? You know, his opponent, who we'll get to here shortly, has a whole lot more experience. Joe Soto really hoping that Bellator will help him get his name out there. And I think, at least for Joe Soto, just that one fight in Bellator has already helped get his name out there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Joe Soto, you know, if you follow mixed martial arts, he's all the rage in the underground circuit. I mean, everybody knows Joe Soto at 145 pounds. Wilson Reis, this is actually such a great fight that a lot of people wanted to see this matchup as the finale. So there's going to be fireworks here.
Kenny Florian, top UFC welterweight, I should say, contender, told me that without question, Joe Soto is Wilson Reis' most difficult opponent ever. Now let's hear from Wilson Reis, and yet another trainer raves about Wilson Reis.
My name is Jared Wiener. I own Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu United here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I teach Jiu-Jitsu every day, and I'm one of the main training partners of Wilson Reis. The biggest challenge of training with Wilson is this kid never stops. He's the Energizer Bunny, non-stop conditioning. So he's always coming after you, coming after you, coming after you. If you get tired for 1 second, it's a wrap, because he's going to be all over you. So you can't blink for 1 second. So that's the biggest challenge training with Wilson. You have to be as equally good of shape as he is, or else, you know, step aside. Fighters should fear Wilson's conditioning, and his jiu-jitsu and his stand-up is becoming no joke as well. Seriously, you better fear everything, and you better respect everything. My philosophy for training MMA fighters and jiu-jitsu fighters is really hard work ethic, really good conditioning, sharpened skills, you know. I just really like the guys to work hard and think positive thoughts leads to positive victories.
So here's the pre-tournament favorite out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Wilson Reis moved to Philadelphia late in 2007, and it's been all systems go ever since.
Yeah, all systems go. 7-0, all systems went. And hasn't won any of his fights by knockout. Obviously a submission expert. I mean, this guy's won the Mundials, a really high-level jiu-jitsu tournament. He's got his black belt, knows how to take dudes down, and knows how to submit dudes. So we're going to see a tough fight here.
Received his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt from Roberto Godai, trains at the Datus Martial Arts Academy in Philadelphia. Also has been spending some time recently at the Florian Martial Arts Center in Boston, Massachusetts. And says if he wins the Bellator tournament, what's he going to do with that money? He's going to put it back into his career and into hiring coaches. This is the former Elite XC featherweight champion. He defeated Abel Cullum in September of 2008 by unanimous decision, and needed to go the full 25 minutes to do so. And I think as a fighter, it has to give you confidence, especially from a cardiovascular standpoint, knowing that you've gone 25 minutes before.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I think is a key factor in this matchup, is that Joe Soto hasn't been tested out of the first round. Wilson Reis, he's gone the first, the second, third, fourth. He's even gone 5 rounds for his title fights, and his conditioning coming out of the 5th round looked just as good going into the first.
Wilson Reis told us he expected Jair Reyes to beat Esteban Payan. That prediction was true. Now he needs to get in the final against Reyes. Let's get it going.
Damas y caballeros, este es el segundo combate semifinal del torneo de eliminación directa en la división peso pluma de Bellator Fighting Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the second semifinal bout of the Bellator Fighting Championships Single Elimination Featherweight Tournament. Presentado por Ford Motor Company, hecho con fuerza Ford y ESPN Deportes. Este combate pactado a 3 asaltos. This bout set for 3 rounds of MMA action. Los jueces son, the judges are Lucy Rogers, Lee Rogers y Jason Garcia. El referee, Mark Calloy. En la esquina azul, in the blue corner, vestido de blanco con negro y rojo. He steps into the ring wearing white trimmed in black and red. Su peso oficial, 145 libras y 3/4. His official weight, 145 3/4 pounds. Un especialista en lucha libre con un récord profesional invicto de 5 victorias. He is a wrestler with an undefeated MMA record of 5 victories. Representing NorCal Fight Alliance, Santa Rosa, California, Joe Soto. En la esquina opuesta, in the opposite corner, vestido de negro con vivos color blanco y naranja. He steps into the ring wearing black trunks with white and orange trim. Su peso oficial, 145 libras y media. His official weight, 145 1/2 pounds. un experto en la disciplina de Jiu-Jitsu brasileño, igual que su rival. Mantiene un récord invicto con 7 victorias. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, and like his opponent, he too maintains an undefeated MMA record with 7 victories. Representing Dallas Fight Camps, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Wilson Reis.
Wilson. All right, athletes, you know what's at stake here. Remember the rules, obey my commands at all times. Touch them up, let's get to work.
All that's at stake, $50,000 and a spot opposite Jair Reyes in the Bellator featherweight tournament final.
You got to think Jair Reyes is watching this somewhere on a monitor in the back in the locker room.
And there he is, no monitor needed. He's out here in the Central Pavilion Arena taking in the action. Get him a notepad.
Man, that guy's, one thing to say about him is he's been the consummate underdog the whole way through this tournament.
That's amazing. A rear naked choke and a spinning back fist as he moves on.
Craziness. Absolute bananas.
So in Wilson Reis, you're talking about one of the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in all of mixed martial arts, probably the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy in the featherweight division. Is Joe Soto cognizant of that, and it's his strategy to try to keep things on the feet here?
I think that Joe Soto's going to try to stand up and bang with Reis. Reis, though, you know, he's got great training partners, and he's no slouch on his feet. So this is going to be one of those wars where the first guy to make a mistake is the guy that's going to end up losing. You saw Reis there just missed the takedown. Soto looks like he's kind of loading up that right hand.
Oh, little finger wag there.
He's in on the single leg there. I get to see some wrestling defense here by Joe Soto. He kind of caught a knee as he went down.
And the expectation for Wilson Reis that he will go for the submission at all costs, and Joe Soto has to be so aware that that's coming really from any position.
You know, Reis looks like he's a little bit, a little jittery on his feet.
Yep, I would agree.
Soto looks a little more composed, kind of sitting in there. Reis is swinging for the fences. Both guys just trying to find their range a little bit. Soto, I think, is trying to load up some punches when he sees an opening, and Reis is trying to set that takedown up. Reis needs to keep his hands up a little bit, though. Soto's going to connect with the big one on the kisser.
Huge right hand for Joe Soto, floors Wilson Reis.
Did I just say connect with the big one right hand on the kisser?
Absolutely. I mean, you got to be aware of that Soto power, and you called it.
Soto definitely has some big power there in his right hand. Reis needs to find a comfortable way to get him to the ground. Otherwise, those wide looping punches are going to play right into Soto's game. See Soto shake his fingers. You can't kick me.
Yeah, it's about the submission defense for Joe Soto. If he can keep that going, you have to think he has the edge on the feet. Just waiting to throw that right hand jab.
This fight, again, almost a pick 'em fight. The lines came in early that Wilson Reis was a almost 2-1 favorite.
Right.
Have yet to see how that's going to play on the ground. But again, one of the other intangibles is we have yet to see how Soto does when it goes into the later rounds.
Yeah, a lot of late action coming in on Joe Soto. A little slip there, yeah.
Jinx. Well, this round clearly, I think, granted we're only halfway through it, but definitely belongs to Soto. Hit Reis with a couple good shots there and tested his chin.
Yeah, again, that one big right hand, I think, could win him the round. About 3 minutes in here, 2 to go. Again, you see Wilson Reis sort of willing to throw a combination or two, but does not want to get into a stand-up war with Joe Soto.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to pick him apart on his feet, but it looks like Soto's been really getting the better of these two exchanges. Oh, he slipped.
Yeah, you see the low base for Joe Soto. Very difficult guy to take down. Nice compact package at $145.
Yeah, Soto actually has a pretty strong wrestling background, so it's going to be interesting to see if Reis can't take him to the ground, how he executes a game plan here.
Joe Soto, a teammate of UFC prospects Cain Velasquez and John Jones at Iowa Central Community College.
Oh, are we going to get the takedown here? Reis is in pretty deep. Oh, there it is. No. Oh, good job by Soto defending that double leg.
Yeah, you see the Soto corner happy with that there.
And that definitely gets to be Oh, Soto landed a good knee out of that front headlock. not only is it fatiguing to constantly try to take down your opponent and constantly fight those takedowns, but also it's mentally discouraging too when the thing you're trying to do, and this is the game plan you kind of worked at, you keep missing those shots. And you know Soto's not going to work into the guard there, Wilson Reis, so referee just lets them stand back up and they go back to their feet.
And Wilson Reis might be the name that's more common to the hardcore mixed martial arts fans, but Joe Soto has the momentum, and he's certainly been creeping, beginning with that Bellator win over Ben Greer.
Yeah, Reis not afraid there to get in there and throw those punches, but Soto's definitely been doing more of the damage there. See again, Soto, the southpaw, orthodox, and then Reis being the southpaw. A couple little things with that is that your jab is almost completely negated when you have a southpaw. You need to throw a lot of right hands, a lot of left hooks. Oh, and now Soto gets hit with a couple good punches. Yeah. Good exchange by both guys. Such a hard fight to call.
Yeah, Joe Soto showing off the chin there as he eats a couple punches. So we're through 5 minutes. The second round is yours when we return. And of course, next week, the Bellator Fighting Championships is on to the Windy City. Join us Friday, May 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern at the Aragon Ballroom, the welterweight tournament semifinals. Lyman Good against Jorge Ortiz. Dave Monet opposite Omar De La Cruz. Tickets yours at Ticketmaster.com.
Yeah, this is a great exchange here by both guys. You see, Reis actually gets the better of that exchange, hits Soto and buckles Soto's knees a little bit here.
Yeah, Soto doing a nice job to sort of duck out of harm's way. It could have been a lot worse, but Wilson Reis does have some power. It's not what he's known for, but he does have some power. He showed it off there towards the end of round one. So here we go. The action continues. This is a featherweight tournament semifinal. The winner gets Jair Reyes for $100,000 June 5th in Ontario, California. On the line tonight, 50 large and a spot in that aforementioned championship belt.
Yeah, both guys in great shape, and again, you got to think that the farther this fight goes, the more it's going to favor Wilson Reis.
Yeah, we should point out now, early on in round two, the first time in the short mixed martial arts career of Joe Soto that he's actually been in the second round. So uncharted territory, but seems to have his cardio at least to this point.
Yeah, this is about 5 minutes in and 30 seconds into the second round. This is about half the time that Joe Soto has spent total in the cage.
Right. Has a chance to actually double his career cage time tonight.
Not sure if he's looking forward to doubling his career cage time or just doubling his winning purse. Connecting with those right hands on the chin of Reis is a good way to get there, though. You see Reis is pawing at the hand there. It's just kind of a way to keep your opponent at bay and set up where that right is going to be. You see guys, the strikers, Anderson Silva does that a lot. He paws with that left hand, kind of feels out where you are, and when he feels like it's there, a little light goes off in his head to try to put the lights out in the other guy's head, and throwing that right hand behind it. Both guys doing a really good job here of keeping a good pace, a lot of back and forth action. These guys are fighting to win, definitely not just fighting not to lose.
Absolutely, got to force the issue here, given all that's at stake, all that's on the line.
You got to feel that either one of these guys that wins, though, is going to be the favorite against Jair Reyes in the final.
Of course, Reyes enjoying that role as the underdog so far.
Man, no pressure on Reyes. Reyes. Yeah, Reyes as he wins 2 fights in Bellator. That's a guy that nobody thought was going to get past the first round, and he finds himself poised for the June 5th finale.
See Soto there landing a couple jabs.
Oh, both guys trading here. I don't know if I want to trade if I'm Wilson Reis. Soto's been getting the better of those punches.
Yeah, you see Reis doing a real nice job with his head movement, though. He's getting out of harm's way. Obviously has a ton of respect for Soto's power, as I think we all do.
Especially if you're on the receiving end of Soto's power.
You see that right hand, I mean, inches away from landing. That could be a fight ender.
Yeah, one thing that I would be telling Reis if I was in his corner is to use the knees a little more. We kind of established that Soto doesn't want to take him down, so you're not in a huge disappointment. If you throw a knee and it misses, you're not going to get taken down necessarily. And if you do, hey, you know what, you're on your back and you can work from it. Oh, it was a nice kick there by Reis. Kind of glanced off the chest of Soto.
You think the Reis corner's concerned a little bit? I mean, Soto's got a huge reach advantage. I think they fear maybe getting inside, that they might sustain some damage if he tries to get inside. I mean, if there's ever been a knock on Wilson Reis, and again, he's been perfect in his MMA career, but he's at a disadvantage, not just from a height standpoint, but he's a small package.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has a little bit less reach advantage than Soto does. Soto's got a little better footwork movement, and you know, one thing that's good is both guys have been able to kind of get in there and exchange. You see Soto has a little better head movement, a little more refined boxing, but Reis has been setting the pace, throwing a little more punches and keeping a little more light on his toes.
Nice right hand there from Soto. Again, you see Wilson Reis, I mean, doesn't appear gassed at all. They call him the Energizer, you see why.
Yeah, man, he's got a great work ethic. To coin my buddy Joe Rogan, cardio machine.
I'm telling you, I mean, a ridiculous tank for Wilson Reis. Oh, he's eating a couple punches, though, there.
You know what, he's eating punches, but so far he showed a pretty good chin.
You're right.
In on that single, kind of missed hitting the switch there to pull guard. Oh, Soto now kind of getting a little confident with his ability to be on the ground. Might want to be careful here. This is Reis' world.
Again, Soto's corner saying, Joe, stand up, bro.
Joe's doing a good job of throwing that right hand and then using his footwork to get out of harm's way. Reis now with a little welt underneath his right eye.
Yeah, as I was going to say, as we go under 30 seconds in round 2, Reis starting to show a little bit of swelling there in the face.
Catches a kick to the head there.
Joe Soto says not so much. I mean, Reis looks like he could go 10 rounds.
Yeah, unfortunately, he only has another 5 minutes and 8 seconds to get this fight underway, though. Or else he's going to lose a decision, in my opinion.
All right, we're 2 rounds into the featherweight semifinal. 2 rounds very close to call.
1-2, 1-2, hook on this side, and then come up with an uppercut. It's there. You hear me? It's there. Throw the right hand, hook, or right hand, uppercut. You throw that uppercut, you're going to knock this out. You hear me? Jab, hook, uppercut. You'll knock this nigga out, okay? With this hand, throw the jab, right hand, uppercut. You'll knock this nigga out. Get your hands up, composed, and then work the body.
You see right here, Soto's keeping his pressure forward there on Reis, and usually he'd let Reis stand up, but he's trying to test him out a little bit here, controlling the knees and throwing some punches while Reis is on his back. Reis tries to get in that single, and he just gets pushed off there by Soto.
And there's Jair Reyes watching the action. He moved on earlier tonight with a unbelievable spinning back fist as he got rid of Esteban Payan. So now it is judgment time, the 3rd and final round. The right to fight Jair Reyes is on the line, as is $50,000. Joe Soto and Wilson Reis very close through the first 10 minutes. Jay, I know you listened into the Soto corner between rounds.
Yeah, I kind of took my headset off a little bit and listened to some of the direction there that Joe Soto's corner was saying, throw the jab, the left hook, and throw that uppercut. Throw the uppercut behind your punches. You're going to knock him out. So we'll see if he gets a chance to execute that or not. Reis now working in deep on that single. Now they're back up just to the clinch here, and it's so frustrating not being able to take a guy down, especially when you're getting beat on your feet and you can't take him down into your world. Soto's doing a great job of just executing his game plan.
Standout high school and college wrestler was Joe Soto.
Nice kick to the head there by Reis.
Again, Soto looking for that uppercut, trying to take the advice of his corner. So Jay, impressed with Joe Soto, at least in terms of the cardio, given his lack of cage time all told through his first 5 fights?
Yeah, you know, he comes in shape. You know, as a fighter, you have really one responsibility when it comes to fight time, and that's be in shape, make weight. I guess that's 2 responsibilities, but being in shape usually means you're made weight.
Right.
So, and Joe Soto definitely looks like he's in shape. You know, content standing toe-to-toe, looking for those openings. Reis moving a little bit more, throwing a little bit more punches. But that's why this isn't boxing. It doesn't matter how many punches you threw. It doesn't matter how many punches you landed. It matters how many times it takes you to put your opponent away.
3+ minutes to go here in the fight. Of course, in the Bellator Fighting Championships, the fighters control their own destiny, Jay. You hope the judges don't necessarily control their destiny tonight, but at this point, we might be headed in that direction.
Yeah, I think that this one may go to a judge's decision, but you know, the last couple fights we saw that we thought were going to a judge's decision ended up on YouTube.
That is the truth, and was viewed about 190,000 times over.
And Bellator.com, another place to see all that action. Speaking of action here, we got about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. This is a really smart fight, I think, by Joe Soto. You can tell he hasn't gotten emotional with any of these punches, hasn't been hopping on Wilson Reis. Been comfortable just kind of outboxing him and staying outside of his reach. Connecting with those right hands down the pipe. Soto's got a lightning fast jab, too.
Also, I think a smart fight for Wilson Reis. You know, he's picked and chosen his spots to try and exchange on the feet, not wanting to get too deep inside against a man with the power of a Joe Soto, but has showed me something with his striking skills as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Joe Soto looks fantastic on his feet. His wrestling is really there, and you know, his submissions and his submission defense is so far so good. So one of these guys is going to come away with a 1 in the loss column. We're going to find out who in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, we go under 2 minutes in the third and final round, and the decision really hangs in the balance. It'll be interesting to see the sense of urgency here down the stretch, and both guys trying to get it going.
You know, Reis is doing a good job of pushing that pace with the takedowns and at least engaging on that level, but really to no avail. Soto's been able to stuff all of his takedowns and just shows fantastic wrestling defense. That's the problem with being a jiu-jitsu expert, is that you need to be on the ground to execute.
Well, the majority of the fight being contested where Joe Soto wanted it to go down. I'm not sure he's necessarily been the better striker all night long.
Yeah, it's been really back and forth action. I think the judges are going to look at who's pressing forward. If I had to call this, I'm going to have to give a decision to Joe Soto, even though Reis was shooting in on some punches and, you know, being aggressive, just like that. Soto with a good little showmanship there, waving his finger at Reis.
And I would actually go the other way. I gave the first 2 rounds both to Wilson Reis, so we'll see what happens. I did.
Okay, well, we'll see who may have a second career as a judge.
You're right.
It's a good leg he's in on there. He needs to put his head against the hip there and spin to the right and to do what's called running the pipe. Oh, nice leg takedown. Ooh, Soto just so fast getting up. Great instincts from the wrestler.
Still points, though, there for Wilson Reis with the takedown, Jay?
You know, I don't know that they're going to give him points or Joe Soto points for, you know, not letting him do that. It's kind of like some guy throwing a lot of punches at your head and you cover and block them all. Do you give the guy throwing punches points, or do you give the guy that covered and didn't take any damage points? And in 10 seconds, we're going to find out if it was Soto's night or Reis's night to collect the win.
So some pretty solid back and forth action in the featherweight semifinals between Wilson Reis and Joe Soto. Which fighter is still undefeated and which fighter is moving on to the Bellator featherweight final June 5th in California?
Get your hands up.
Wilson Reis, little raspberry there under his right eye.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joe Soto's corner thinks he won, picking their fighter up. A very, very close fight to call. Any of the 3 rounds could have gone to either fighter. I actually gave it 30-27 to Wilson Reis, but again, I could have easily given Soto 2 of those 3 rounds.
Man, tough fight to call. You know, Reis was pushing the action the whole time. Soto did a great job of showing his counter wrestling and not letting Reis get any of those takedowns. He's right here. Reis gets in on a single leg, where most guys will just let him get the takedown. Soto immediately digs for that underhook, pushes his head away, balances on one leg, barely touches the ground, and is right back up.
I mean, Jay, you talked about Soto's quickness. He had it going on.
Yeah, you take a look at this from another angle. Reis has a beautiful takedown there with the the outside leg trip, but Soto again just runs away, gets out. Now, just is that enough to win the round, though?
Yeah, well, that's the big question, and was it enough to win the fight? A very, very close fight, as we expected. Who will have their hands raised to get into the final against Jair Reyes? We send it inside the Bellator circle. Here's Lupe Contreras.
Damas y caballeros, después de 3 asaltos, los 3 jueces entregan tarjetas idénticas de 30 a 27. Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 rounds, all 3 judges scored about identically at 30-27. For the winner, by way of unanimous decision, and moving on to the finals of the Bellator Fighting Championships. Damas y caballeros, para el vencedor por decisión unánime, Y avanzando a las finales de Bellator Fighting Championships, Joe Soto.
Well, that's why I have the microphone and not the scorecard. Joe Soto getting all 3 rounds on all 3 judges' scorecards. We thought the fight was closer, but Joe Soto getting it done here. He remains unbeaten, handing Wilson Reis the first loss of his mixed martial arts career, and it indeed will be Joe Soto against Jair Reyes in the Bellator featherweight final. You see Jair Reyes there, and you see the emotion on the face of Joe Soto, the California kid, rightfully so. And there you have it, the Bellator Fighting Championships featherweight tournament final between Joe Soto and Jair Reyes, upcoming on the 5th of June. We will hear from a victorious Joe Soto when we return to the Central Pavilion Arena. So he's only 22 years old, but the ceiling remains high for Joe Soto. He's on to the Bellator featherweight final, and he's standing by with Jason Chambers.
I'm here with your winner, Joe Soto. Joe, tell me how you're feeling right now.
I feel great. I feel blessed. I just thank God for the victory.
What does this victory and moving on to the tournament mean to you on a personal level?
It means a lot. I came from a lot of adversity, you know, and it just means a lot to move on. To beat Wilson, he's a great champion, and he's a hell of a fighter. And it just means so much to me.
Well, you're facing Jair Reyes in the final. What are your thoughts on facing him as an opponent June 5th in Ontario, California?
I haven't seen him fight yet, but I just know he's tough. He's finished his last 2 fighters, so I think he's coming out of nowhere just like me, and I expect a great fight. I know he's a tough guy too.
Talk us through your game plan when you fought Wilson Reis. Obviously, he's 7-0. He's a tough competitor. You come in at 5-0. A lot on the line moving forward.
Yeah, my game plan was just to first come out and see how his hands are, test his hands, and if I was comfortable, just keep throwing them. And you know, I didn't want to really go to the floor because I know he's so comfortable and he's in great condition. I thought I'd get him more tired on my feet because that's where he's not, you know, comfortable.
Well, you had an incredible fight tonight. Another incredible fight was Jair Reyes. Let's bring him in here. Jair, going to be your opponent June 5th in Ontario, California. You two guys are going to have a fantastic fight. How do you feel about fighting Joe Soto?
¿Cómo te sientes de pelear contra Joe Soto?
Bueno, me gustó mucho su forma de pelear. Es un peleador muy fuerte. Y bueno, le mostraré mi Muay Thai.
I like him, you know, the way he fights. He's a really tough fighter, but I'm going to try to use my Muay Thai.
Yeah, I just feel same way as him. He's a real tough fighter, and I'm going to try to use my ground skills against him.
Well, this is a fight we're both looking forward to, and everyone can watch June 5th. These two guys are going to square off, and only one is going to be the featherweight champion of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, your winners, Joe Soto and Jair Reyes.
All right, Jason, thank you. So you saw the raw emotion there from Joe Soto. Another great night of mixed martial arts. The featherweight tournament final June 5th in Ontario, California, between Jair Reyes and Joe Soto. Next week, the Bellator train rolls onward to Chicago, Illinois for the welterweight tournament semifinals. Live and Good takes on Jorge Ortiz, and Dave Manet on the comeback trail. He faces Omar De La Cruz. A spot in the title match is firmly on the line. But before we go, a look back at the featherweight action tonight. Jair Reyes coming correct with a potential knockout of the year performance. The spinning back fist floors Esteban Payan, and he eats some canvas there. And Joe Soto elated as he bounces Wilson Reis and moves on to take on Jair Reyes. It'll be Joe Soto and Jair Reyes, June 5th in California. That'll do it from Texas. For Jason Chambers and our Bellator crew, I'm John Anik. We'll see you next week in the Windy City.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Francis Ngannou. Subscribe now.